Hello students. Welcome to class. Our first topic is surds. Let us see what we have to learn today. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to 1. Know the difference between rational and irrational numbers. 2. Define and know the various types of surds. Follow me as we learn together. Rational numbers are numbers which can be expressed as a fraction, and also as a positive number, negative number, and 0. For example, 3/2 is a rational number because 3, which is an integer, is divided by 2, which is another integer. Also, 1/7 is a rational number, because when simplified, will give us 0.142857, 142857, and so on. Observe that 14285 and 7 keeps getting repeated in the decimal portion. Other examples include 5/4, 0.37, √25, etc., because they can be expressed as exact fractions or ratio. Let's look at irrational numbers. Irrational numbers are those set of numbers that cannot be expressed in the form of a fraction. They do not have a terminating or a recurring decimal. For example, √2, when simplified, will give us 1.41, 421, 3562, and so on. Now, notice that the decimal value is not repeating, and it is not terminated. Other irrational numbers include pi, which is equal to 3.14159,265, and so on. √3, which is equal to 1.73205080, and so on. √7, which is equal to 2.64575,131, and so on, etc. Next, we will look at surds. Surds. In mathematics, surds are the values in square root that cannot be further simplified into whole numbers or integers. Examples of surds are √2, √3, √5, etc. Looking at the examples shows us that surds are irrational numbers, as they cannot be further simplified. 2 or more surds are said to be like surds if the numbers under the square root sign are the same. For example, √3. For √3, √3/2, etc. are like surds. Next, let us look at the types of surds. The various types of surds include simple surd. A surd is said to be simple if it has only one term. For example, √2 and √5. Pure surds. These are surds that are completely made up of irrational numbers. For example, √3, etc. Mixed surds. These surds are not completely irrational as the pure surds. They can be expressed as the product of a rational number and an irrational number. For example, 4√3 and 9√5. Compound surd is the algebraic sum or difference of two or more surds. For example, 2√3 plus 3√5, √3 plus √7. Binomial surds. These are compound surds that contains exactly two surds. For example, bracket open, √7 plus √2, bracket closed. Lastly, conjugate surds. The conjugate of a surd is the sum and difference of two simple quadratic surds. They are also known as complementary surds. To find the conjugate of a surd, we simply switch the sign of the second term. For example, in the equation 1 plus √2, the conjugate will be 1 minus √2. Note that the sum of two conjugate surds is a rational number, as is their products. Assignment. Write down the following assignments and try solving them yourself. Give 3 examples each of the following. In conclusion, we have learnt how to know the difference between a rational number and an irrational number, and also the meaning of surd and its various types. Watch out for our next lesson, where we will talk about addition and subtraction of surds. Always remember, learning is a journey. See you in the next class. Thanks, and goodbye.